All right, guys, welcome into my official NFL Week number 12 picks and predictions, where I predict the final score of every NFL game. And we do have a few little Thanksgiving games. Yes, the triple header, the traditional triple header. We've got the Buffalo Bills staying in Detroit. Of course, they had that home game last week due to the snow against the Browns. They are taking on the Detroit Lions, coming off that crazy road win over the New York Giants. And guys, I like this to be a higher scoring game. The NFL knows they've had a bunch of bore fests, a bunch of lower scoring games. They're going to want this one in a dome. Josh Allen, they played there last week. I'm expecting this Buffalo offense to really air it out in this game, especially to Stephon Diggs. Josh Allen over 300 passing yards. And then for the Detroit Lions, coming back home, they've been a good offense. Jared Goff, they're playing better. They're going to build on that good win. I think they cover the 9-point spread. The over 54 hits. It's a high number, but I think it hits. And the Buffalo Bills win this game. That's a 12:30 start on Thanksgiving Day. Moving to the 4:30 game, this is always the Cowboys' home game. They are taking on the Giants. Personally, when it comes to the Thanksgiving games, I would love to see the Cowboys take on an AFC team when they're in the 4 o'clock window like this every year, but instead we get the Giants. Kind of a bland matchup in my opinion. Dallas coming off that total decapitation of the Minnesota Vikings on the road. Huge win for them. And you've got the Giants reeling. You know, their future is uncertain. What are they going to do with Daniel Jones after this year? It's clear he's not a franchise quarterback. What are they going to do with Saquon Barkley coming up on the end of his rookie deal? I think Dallas wins this game 31-21. Their offense is in tune. They've got Tony Pollard, amazing, out of the backfield, rushing, the explosiveness, Zeke Elliott, the short yardage. Dak Prescott is humming along with CeeDee Lamb, and the Giants reeling a bit. I think Dallas wins this game and just barely covers the spread in this one with the over hitting. And then moving on to the nightcap, this is a nice little AFC-NFC battle. All 3 games on Thanksgiving Day are played in domes. Personally, I'm not a fan of that, but we do have the New England Patriots coming off their low-scoring win against the Jets. You know, the Patriots defense at home holding Zach Wilson to 2 yards of total offense in the second half. They're taking on Minnesota, and of course, we knew Minnesota was due for a loss. We didn't think it was going to be that bad. They got annihilated. We never see blowouts that big in the NFL, but let's not overreact. Minnesota at home, Justin Jefferson due for a big game. I will take Minnesota winning this game and covering the 3-point spread against a New England team who seems to play better, especially their defense at home. I have major questions about Mac Jones and that New England offense on the road being able to keep up with Minnesota, Justin Jefferson, Dalvin Cook, Kirk Cousins, and company. I don't think they can do it. Minnesota wins this game. They win the nightcap of the Thanksgiving games. Moving to the 1 o'clock window on Sunday, it is Tampa Bay traveling to Cleveland in an AFC-NFC clash. This is not a great situation for Tampa Bay. Going to the cold weather, probably 30 degrees, but the Browns at this point, their season is totally off the rails. They tried to get, a replacement quarterback to keep them around 500 in Jacoby Brissett. If you guys actually look it up, the Browns are one of the most unique teams in the NFL. They average 390 yards of total offense and give up like 357. So their yardage per game is a positive, but they're just like 3-7. So it is unfortunate. And I do think the Buccaneers, they're 5-5 right now. They're in a wide open division. There's going to be a ton of motivation to win this game. Of course, the Browns have literally no motivation to lose this game, considering they don't even have their first round draft pick. But Tom Brady versus Jacoby Brissett, even at his advanced age, I will take Brady to win this. And you know what? When it comes to the spread, I think I'll just take the over because the Browns actually do have a pretty good offense, and we know their defensive issues with Joe Woods and the fan base basically revolting against him. I will take Tampa Bay. They need this win. They know it. they get it done on the road against Jacoby Brissett and a reeling Browns team, and the Browns cannot run the ball. They're stacking the box against Nick Chubb. We saw Buffalo do it last week. Moving on, we've got Cincinnati traveling to Tennessee, and guys, the Titans cannot keep getting away with it. I do not understand it. I've never seen a team in my life like the Tennessee Titans where any metric will say they're one of the worst teams offensively. They're, I guess, okay on defense, yet they somehow keep winning. It's not sustainable. It's the same thing as Minnesota last week, except even worse, because Minnesota actually has good offensive playmakers. I think Cincinnati wins this game and covers the 1.5-point spread easily. Cincinnati is on a roll right now. Pirine, Joe Mixon, even without Jamar Chase, they're scoring like crazy. I think Joe Burrow is actually turning into an underrated quarterback in the NFL. I know he received so much hype last year, but no one's talking about him. That week 1 against the Steelers, he had 4 interceptions. Look at what he's done after that. He is an elite quarterback in the NFL. Cincinnati wins this game on the road. They're battling Baltimore right now in the AFC North. Next, we have Houston traveling to Miami, and at this point, Houston is completely dead in the water. They may make a change at quarterback because Davis Mills has been so bad. Personally, if I'm Houston, there's really no reason to go to Kyle Allen or whoever they want to go to. Just keep losing games. You have the Browns pick, which should be pretty good. You have your own pick, which is probably going to be top 2. You can use that on a quarterback. There's no reason to win games. Miami, we know right now with Tua, he's having a breakout season. This is going to be a dismantling, in my opinion. Miami's going to run it up. They're going to gain more confidence. And Houston at this point, again, it does seem like their front office is, they're trying to lose games, and it makes sense. Get yourself a top 2 pick. Guarantee yourself C.J. Stroud or Bryce Young, and then you get the Browns' first-round pick. You can pair that with maybe a pass rusher, maybe an offensive lineman, something like that. So I think Houston is set up for the future, but this game is going to get ugly. They need to lose it, and they might apparently bench Davis Mills because he's been so bad. And I told people in the preseason, listen, people were overrating Davis Mills because they were like, ooh, for a rookie, he was playing well, when no one looked at the context of Davis Mills' stats last year, and you realize it's all garbage time crap. That's why his stats were somewhat decent last year. I was trying to tell people, they wouldn't listen. He is not an NFL starting caliber quarterback, but he can definitely tank for you. He can tank. Next, we have Chicago, the Bears, traveling to take on the Jets. The Bears, we don't know what's going on with Justin Fields, guys. I do have an MVP vote. I am an MVP voter, and I, of course, will be voting for Justin Fields. He is a superstar. I'm voting for him for the MVP, no doubt. But we have Chicago taking on the Jets. Is Justin Fields going to play? This is my prediction if Justin Fields doesn't play. And by the way, I do think the Jets have to bench Zach Wilson. It's a very tough decision. You invested the number 2 overall pick into him, but it's gotten to the point where if you have 2 yards of total offense in the second half, I mean, that is indescribably bad. So the Jets will probably turn to Joe Flacco if I had to guess, and with the veteran presence going up against probably a backup. If Justin Fields plays, certainly I think Chicago wins this game. He is the superstar. He is the draw to any NFL team. He is unbelievable this year, Justin Fields. The passing, the rushing, it's all coming together. And now there's a narrative about Justin Fields, how he's just a running back, when really, I'm a quarterback guru. I look at this stuff. He's one of the better passers in the NFL with the touch he puts on the ball, and he continues to develop. And now the Bears are going to get a top 6 or 7 pick. They're going to draft another receiver for Justin Fields, and this is going to be a loaded team. So this is my prediction right now. Justin Fields doesn't play. I don't think the Bears do anything. He is their entire team. And then the Jets, listen, it's tough because you want to stick with Zach Wilson because you invested the number 2 overall pick in him, but it is historically bad right now. And really, if you put Joe Flacco in there, Joe Flacco, even though he's washed, he can still throw a few passes to those young receivers and stuff like that. They have decent receivers that can do some things, especially Garrett Wilson. So I think the Jets get back on track and win this game at home with Joe Flacco. Next, we have Atlanta traveling to the Commanders. At what point does Atlanta decide to roll with Desmond Ridder? I don't know. Right now, the Commanders -4. Chase Young maybe coming back. We really don't know. But I do have the Commanders winning this game by 3 at home. They're going to build off their momentum. And this is another very winnable game for them at home against an Atlanta team that is reeling, that just lost Kyle Pitts, that really just has no semblance of passing attack with Marcus Mariota right now. How about this? Oh my goodness. I think this is the lowest over-under in terms of betting this year. I think the over-under in this game is 36 points. It's Denver traveling to Carolina. So what does Carolina do at quarterback? They went back to Baker Mayfield and they scored 3 points last week. Denver, they've been horrible on offense this year. Carolina, they've been terrible as well. I've got it at 24-9. It's very clear to me right now. If I had to make a projection, a long-time projection on the NFL draft, it would be Carolina probably gets the 2nd or 3rd pick. I'd have to look at the standings. I think Houston drafts a quarterback, whether that's Bryce Young or C.J. Stroud, and then Carolina gets the other one. I think both of those teams are full-fledged tanking right now. And Denver has no reason to tank. They don't even have their first-round pick next year, but they've been an eyesore to watch. So the over-under in this game sitting at 36. I think the under hits because both of these teams just are horrific on offense. Next, we have Baltimore traveling to Jacksonville, and you know it's the NFL, and we get upsets that we don't normally think are going to be upsets, and I feel like this is going to be one of them. I do have the Jacksonville Jaguars winning this game outright, 26-23. Baltimore's offense to me last week against Carolina, not impressive. I understand they won, mainly because Carolina has no offense with Baker Mayfield right now. It just feels like a game where Jacksonville's at home. They can feed off the crowd energy. It's going to be hot in Jacksonville, maybe a little humid, things like that. They're not a horrible team, and they've got a decent defense. It just feels like a good upset spot for Jacksonville over Baltimore. I've got a feel on it. I realize Baltimore is 4-point favorites, and I do respect the Ravens. I respect Lamar Jackson. I respect their offense and their defense because it's very good. But I am taking Jacksonville for the upset. Moving on to the 4 o'clock window, it is the Chargers on the road at Arizona. We don't know what's going on with Arizona at this point. Kyler Murray, I thought he was going to be back for the Mexico game yesterday. Turns out he wasn't. I think the Chargers are humming after their performance against Kansas City. Mike Williams keeps getting injured, unfortunately, but with Justin Herbert, it does feel like their offense is starting to really break through. Justin Herbert finally back fully healthy. I will take them winning this game easily. I just don't know what to make of Arizona. I thought last week Kyler Murray was going to be back. Apparently he's not. He might be back for this game. I like the over in this game because it's in a dome and the Chargers have been scoring and Arizona's defense has been terrible recently. And I also like the Chargers to cover the spread there. Next, we have the Raiders traveling to Seattle in a zesty little AFC-NFC matchup. And guys, I think the Raiders found something last week. I'm picking them to win this game outright. It's tough because you know what, with Seattle, I have grown to respect them and respect Geno Smith. He was playing well earlier in the season. I really didn't buy it, but I do respect the Seahawks. They are, I believe, coming off a bye week, but it feels like the Raiders, they're better than their record. Their team talent is better than their record. I know the injury to Hunter Renfrow is bad, Darren Waller as well, but they still have Devontae Adams. If the Raiders are going to win a game, you know it's going to be in overtime or by 3 points or something. That's just how Derek Carr games go, and I feel like this is a possible upset, although I will say, looking at the analytical models, there is a lot of value on Seattle winning this game and covering the 3.5-point spread. I'm saying it's not going to happen, but I'm just telling you guys, the analytical models that I look at, they like Seattle to win and cover. We've got the fake Super Bowl, right? We always thought these teams were going to match up in the Super Bowl. The Rams and the Chiefs. The Rams this year, it's just been so bad. And to make matters worse for them, they don't even have their first-round pick, I don't think. I think Detroit has it. They are taking on the Chiefs, so they're traveling to Kansas City. It's going to be a dome team going to a cold weather place. Matthew Stafford, concussion symptoms. I'm thinking it's a lower scoring game. The Chiefs are 14.5-point 5-point favorites. If Stafford doesn't play, I could very easily see the Rams maybe scoring 10 points total. So we'll just have to wait and see. But Stafford got a concussion a few weeks ago. He's come back and he went out of the game this week with a concussion symptoms. So they might not even want to risk him. The only issue for LA, there's no incentive for them to lose because I don't think they have their first round pick. So we'll see what ends up happening with them. Either way, that's an easy win for Kansas City. Next, we have New Orleans traveling to San Francisco. This is one of those weird NFL games where you think San Francisco is just going to blow New Orleans out of the water. But New Orleans, to me, is going to keep this game close. San Francisco, a lot of people have been saying this, and I said this in the preseason, they probably pound for pound have the NFL's most talented roster, and obviously now they added Christian McCaffrey. But, I mean, they have crazy talent on both sides of the ball. Jimmy G kind of weighs them down. He's a game manager, average quarterback who he can play well. We saw him last night with the 4 touchdown passes. But it just feels like one of those games where everyone's saying San Francisco found their footing. They're going to crush New Orleans, and New Orleans keeps it close because it is the NFL. So that's my prediction on that. The Sunday night game, it's going to be the Packers taking on Philadelphia, and I love the Packers to cover this spread. I think Philadelphia ends up winning by 1 point, but it just feels like Philadelphia, the shine is kind of wearing off of Jalen Hurts in terms of his passing ability, even with A.J. Brown. I still think Jalen Hurts is good, no doubt. I mean, look at their record, but the shine is wearing off, and it feels like we saw they were 7-point road favorites over Indianapolis. They barely win that game. They lose to the Commanders at home the week before when they were 11-point favorites. It feels like we need to ride this wave and take the Packers plus the 7. Of course, the Packers, they haven't been very good themselves, but at least they do have two, really good running backs and a veteran quarterback, Aaron Rodgers, who is developing cohesion with the young receivers, especially Christian Watson. Moving to the Monday night game, it is Pittsburgh traveling to Indianapolis. So Indianapolis under Jeff Saturday has been really competitive in their 2 games, but I love Pittsburgh. I love the way Kenny Pickett is developing right now. I think they win this game outright as 2.5-point underdogs. They looked good on offense, in my opinion, against Cincinnati. The defense was not good, but this is a game where their defense should perform better against Matt Ryan. Indianapolis, this could be a fun little Monday night game. I would not write this game off. I think it could be fun. To me, there are definitely worse matchups. I know people are going to complain because both of these teams don't have very good records, but in my opinion, the matchup that we just had, Arizona starting Colt McCoy against Jimmy G, was 10 times worse than this matchup, even though it's a washed Matt Ryan taking on a rookie. This game intrigues me a little bit. I think it could be fun. But guys, that's going to do it for my official NFL Week number 12 picks and predictions. Make sure you're following me on Twitter. Link to that's always in the description.